there, it's Nilaja. I'm glad you're back with me to read and think about the rest of the recipes in Fun Food to Make and Eat. As we read together today, remember, I will pause so you can scan the photographs and notice the text features on each page. Notice what you're thinking about the information you find in the words, photographs, and other text features. And think if you'd like to make any of the recipes for yourself and your family. Remember, while we read the book, I will make the book pages bigger so you can see the photographs more easily, but you'll still be able to hear my voice. Here we go. The title of this nonfiction book is Fun Food to Make and Eat. Remember, the recipes in this book are procedural texts. A procedural text tells you how to make or do something. In the last video, we read the contents page. Then we read the recipes for pizza face and apple boat. Now, in this video, we will read the rest of the recipes and the index. Bread person, cheese house, tasty rocket, index of ingredients. This recipe is called bread person. Scan these pages. Did you notice the photograph we saw earlier on the contents page? This recipe has a part called You Will Need To, just like the pizza face and apple boat recipes, to tell us the healthy ingredients. You will need 1 slice of bread, 1 tablespoon of honey, 5 raisins, 1 dried apricot, 1 person-shaped cookie cutter. Here is what to do. Let's read the steps we need to follow to make a bread person. What to do. 1. Cut the bread into the shape of a person with the cookie cutter. 2. Spread the honey on the bread person. The recipe continues on the next page, doesn't it? We can see steps 3 and 4 here. Let's read the rest of the steps for bread person. 3. Put the raisins on the bread person to make them look like eyes and buttons. 4. Cut the dried apricot into thin strips and put an apricot strip on the bread person to make it look like a mouth. Did you notice the chef's hat symbol for any steps? What will you need an adult to help with? In the photograph for direction number 4, we don't see a knife in the photograph, but the words tell us to cut the apricot into slices. So we need an adult to help us to use the knife to cut the apricot. This recipe has a try this section too. Try this. Put cream cheese, corn, and tomato on your bread person. There's another way to make a bread person using different ingredients. The next recipe tells you how to make a cheese house. This recipe has a you will need part and a what to do part too, just like the other recipes. Let's read the ingredients we need to make a cheese house. You will need 1 slice of bread, 1 slice of cheese, 1 slice of deli ham, 1 red pepper. Let's read the steps we need to follow to make a cheese house. What to do. 1. Toast one side of the bread under a broiler. 2. Put the slice of cheese on the uncooked side of the bread. 3. Cut the red pepper into thin strips. Did you notice the chef's hat symbol for any steps? What will you need an adult to help with? An adult should help when using a hot oven or a sharp knife. Here are steps 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let's read the rest of the directions for a cheese house. 4. Put the red pepper strips on the cheese to make them look like a door and a window. 5. Cut the deli ham into a triangle. 6. Put it on top of the cheese to make it look like a roof. 7. Put the bread under the broiler. Cook it until the cheese melts. Did you notice the chef's hat symbol for any steps? What will you need an adult to help with? An adult should help when using a sharp knife or a hot oven. This recipe has a try this section too. Try this. Place a cheese house on a plate. Add carrot sticks to make a fence and a boiled egg to make a sun. The final recipe tells you how to make a tasty rocket. Have you noticed every recipe has 2 parts? You will need that lists the ingredients we need and what to do that tells us the steps to follow. Let's see what ingredients we need to make a tasty rocket. You will need 1 slice of watermelon, 3 grapes, 3 strawberries, 1 skewer. Let's read the steps we need to follow to make a tasty rocket. What to do. 1. Cut a slice of watermelon. 2. Cut the slice of watermelon into 1 large triangle and 1 smaller triangle. There's the chef's hat symbol. Both these directions need you to use a knife to cut the fruit. An adult should help when using a sharp knife, shouldn't they? Here are steps 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Let's read the rest of the directions for a tasty rocket. 3. Put the large watermelon triangle on the skewer. 4. Put a grape on the skewer. 5. Put a strawberry on the skewer. 6. Put the grapes and strawberries onto the skewer until they almost reach the end. 7. Place the smaller watermelon triangle on the end of the skewer. Did you notice the chef's hat symbol for any steps? Nope. On these steps, you don't need an adult to help, will you? This recipe has a try this section too. Try this. Dip your rocket into yogurt before eating. This book has an index. An index is a list at the end of some nonfiction books that tells us some of the things mentioned in the book and all the page numbers where those things are found. In this book, the index lists all the ingredients used in the recipes and tells us the page number where those ingredients are used. Let's look at a few of the ingredients listed here. Index of ingredients. Apple, pages 10 and 11. This tells me that an apple is an ingredient needed for a recipe on pages 10 and 11. Apricot, pages 12 and 14. This tells me that an apricot is an ingredient needed for a recipe on pages 12 and 14. Bread, pages 12, 13, 16, 17, and 19. This tells me that bread is an ingredient needed for two recipes, one on pages 12 and 13, and another on pages 16, 17, and 19. We won't read the rest of this index now, but it's helpful to know how an index works when you're reading a nonfiction book. All the recipes in this book used healthy ingredients and were fun to make. If you'd like to read the recipes in this book again, just start the video over. See what you notice when you read it again that you didn't notice the first time we read the story. You may want to make some of the recipes in the book fun food to make and eat. Remember to ask an adult to help you for the steps where you see a chef's hat symbol. Enjoy your cooking! Thanks for reading and thinking with me.